Hey folks, I want to talk to you about my experience with Varg Freeborn in his class, Gutter Fight. I originally heard Varg on a podcast and learned about him, learned his story, and realized that he did training that I had not even thought was out there. So, in my training experience, I've had gun handling classes, and I've had classes that taught me how to use my weapon very productively, very efficiently. Varg's class is not a weapon manipulation class, it's a fighting class. How to fight in all types of situations with a firearm. So Gutter Fight was a 2-day class. It was held in Alliance, Ohio, at the Alliance Police Training Facility. Fantastic facility. Highly recommend taking classes there. It rained, but we had an indoor classroom. We didn't get wet, but maybe once for just a little bit, which wasn't a big deal at all. The class was broken up into range time and classroom, and honestly there was not enough classroom time in my opinion. I really wish the class would have gone 3 to 4 days. There was so much in those 2 days that it was, like I said with other classes, it was like drinking from the fire hose. There's so much content, so much fantastic content. You're just trying to absorb it all. You're trying to be a sponge. There's so much good content. It's very much a cerebral class, very much a psychological, thinking through your response to violence. So I just want to give you a few little tidbits of what was in the class so you can get that little hunger to go take it, because I think it's the piece of a prepared individual that most people are missing. It was the piece I was missing. It was the psychological piece of working through a violent encounter before it happens. We talked about dealing with uncertainty and how that's a white space in your mind. There's no context of reference. So if you get into a situation that you're faced with white space, you have no frame of reference, you don't know what to do. Where this class helped work through those situations before it would happen. We talked about ambush and counter ambush. We talked about concealment and how it's a whole complete system. It's not just your shirt over your gun. It's a whole complete system. We talked about the combat mindset and how it's extreme self-control under all circumstances, under all conditions. And if you can stay under control, or stay in control rather, and not get out of pocket in a situation, you can work through that to solve the problem. We did some shooting. Our shooting aspect was based on the concept of extreme accuracy under all conditions. We did some stress inoculation shooting, where we were put under a physical stress, and then we had to shoot and work through what to shoot and what not to shoot. The class was, in my opinion, a glimpse into a very violent situation, a very violent encounter, and how you would work through that. The mental toughness that comes along with that, and I think it's a piece that a lot of people miss. They get into a hard situation and then give up, to where if you are prepared mentally to say, it doesn't matter what the situation is, I'm going to work through it and solve this problem. There's a difference there. So if you're asking yourself, well, I don't really need this class, I live in a pretty safe place, stuff like that doesn't happen. No, it doesn't usually happen. But every day that it doesn't happen, the chances of it happening probably are increasing because it hasn't happened yet. So instead of thinking, I hope the situation never happens to me, I think the better thought is, this situation is going to happen someday. I want to be prepared for it in advance, so when it does, I'm ready to solve that problem. My wife and I like to watch the police dramas or the mysteries, murder mysteries or whatnot. And I had the thought the other night when we were watching it, if these people, if all these victims in these shows, and it was on Netflix, so multiple seasons, I was thinking, if these people had gone through a class like this and then were faced with that situation, the outcome probably would have been quite a bit different. Not saying everyone would have survived or there wouldn't have been any drama for the show, but the outcome probably would have been quite a bit different. So in saying that, I would highly recommend Varg's class. If you say, hey man, I can't afford it, it's not in my budget, what I would then recommend is get Varg's book, Violence of Mind, read through it a couple times, and then understand a little bit more of how violence is going to happen someday. Maybe not to you, but maybe to a loved one, to where you can share your thoughts and opinions with those people. So to sum it all up about the class, highly recommend it. I think this is the piece that most gun classes, most training classes, gun handling classes, I think this is the piece that they are missing. And I would not recommend this as a first class. I would highly recommend a shooting fundamentals class. I would recommend Valor Ridge with Reed Hendricks. I would recommend his Pistolcraft 1 class, and then maybe Varg's class as a second class. This is a mentally draining class, and I wouldn't recommend it as a first class, but if you've had at least one gun class, I'd highly recommend this to put that violence confrontation class piece in your mental repertoire, to where you don't have a total white space in that area. There's not 100% uncertainty. There's a little bit of recognition if that situation ever happens. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, go ahead and hit subscribe. If you don't, no big deal. Have a good day, folks.